Everyone, I'm R.A. Povich. Welcome to a current of his life in the seconds that followed. He was facing a possible jail term on a bribery charge. He pleaded his innocence and denied his accusers the chance to pursue him. But Dwyer's last act was even more carefully timed than anyone knew. At stake was the difference between leaving his family penniless or leaving them $1 million.
So you believe to this day in Bud's innocence?
Oh, I have no doubt. I've never had any doubt. I think the majority of people believe in Bud's innocence. And anybody who knows him certainly does.
Harrisburg had been reeling from the publicity and corruption charges stemming from the Dwyer trial. When the jury returned a guilty verdict, most expected Dwyer's resignation. Few expected that Dwyer would never be sentenced and that he would put an end to it all with one shot that reverberated.
Deal of that written statement orally. And of course, I kept looking for the part that we all expected, and that was his resignation announcement. And it wasn't there, so when I got the last page, I naturally looked for it there. And by the time I got to the middle of the page, the commotion had started, and I looked up to see that he had this .357 Magnum in his hand.
I knew that he was going to kill himself. The only question I had was whether he was going to kill some of us beforehand. Because he had, in the course of this long statement, been talking about how the press had treated him as just another piece of meat. And, you know, he had 6 bullets in that gun. He could have used 5 and still had 1 for himself.
If there'd have been any thought that he was going to do what he did, I know I would have tried to have taken some action.
What would you have done?
Well, the only thing left to do would be, quite frankly, try to have his bail revoked and put in a setting where he couldn't hurt himself.
I had the notion that maybe I could talk him out.
He wanted not to get in his way?
That's exactly what I thought.
I think he stopped and had to kill himself because I think it became very clear to him that some of the other people in the room were going to jump. Kill himself because I think it became very clear to him that some of the other people in the room were going to jump him within a few seconds if he didn't do it. And the one thing he didn't want to do.
Bud Dwyer died in shows no evidence of the tragedy a year ago. People close to him say that the timing of Dwyer's suicide was critical. The very next day he was to be sentenced and stripped of his office. They say he also must have been aware of the state retirement benefits he would forfeit upon sentencing. So when he killed himself on January 22nd, the day before his sentencing, he left his wife and family with over $1 million in death benefits.
Well, I think the monetary well-being of his family was a big consideration.
In other words, that if he waited, he'd lose that $1 million?
That's right. And I think that Bud truly believed that if he took such a drastic step that it would have impact on what he was trying to tell people and convince people. So that I thought that in his mind he may have thought that he was a martyr for a good cause.
If you look at it from what his priorities were, I mean, you know, financial security for his family, revenge upon his enemies, convincing people that he was innocent. You know, suicide made a lot of sense. You know, except that, you know, in order to collect your pension, you have to kill yourself. I mean, that's the part that makes no sense.
I am not so sure they are not right in thinking that. Although I am sure if that was the case in Bud's mind, it was a secondary motive, it wasn't primary.
And the first was?
And the first was to point out the type of system that we have here.
And to make a statement about his innocence.
Absolutely. For a man who loved life so much, a true tragedy.
Were you angry at him?
Oh, yes. I think we always go through a period of anger. That took a while, too. The question, why? You know, we could have worked this out. We could have done something. It's a normal feeling of anger. But you see, I understood then why he did it, because he left 3 beautiful letters, one for each of the children and one for me.
Can you share with us a little what he wrote in those letters to his family and to you?
He reaffirmed his love for his family, his love for life, his doubt and disbelief of our system, his frustration at the many years that he spent serving others, and that the very system that he had hoped to better had been his demise. He asked that I do the best I can to help vindicate his name and that the truth be known. And he asked us to be happy. I think Bud was probably the kindest man anyone could meet. Everyone who knew him said that. He was a wonderful husband. I had 23 wonderful years. It's a lot more than most people have. I'm very grateful for that.
You say that he had a wonderful laugh.
He had a fantastic laugh. He had a very, very hearty belly laugh that would come out, and it was infectious. So anywhere that we went, I could always tell where Bud was, because he was a happy man, and he laughed a lot. And this laugh you could hear anywhere. So if I couldn't see him because of his height, I could hear him because of his laugh. And I think if Bud's remembered among a lot of his colleagues for anything, it's going to be that hearty laugh.
Do you hear it in your mind sometimes?
I can hear it a lot. I can hear it a lot.